welcome back to Elevation 44. I'm Beverly, or B for short. And for those of you who are new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, family. Today, we are diving all into this Aries new moon total solar eclipse. It's gonna be a big one, okay? So I just want to talk to you about it so that we know, like, we're well informed what this energy is bringing in and how we personally need to navigate through these times. I have my warm beverage. I'm sipping on some pineapple ginger tea. So if you want to stop and grab your warm beverage, it's just kind of the vibes that we're going for today. It's rainy, it's a little cold, it's just cozy vibes. So going ahead, whatever the weather looks like where you're at, grab your warm beverage and let's dive right into this energy. So this new moon will be happening on April 8th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time, okay? And it's happening at 19 degrees, all right? And 19 in numerology boils down to the number 1, which is synonymous with new beginnings. It's also very determined energy. It's self-reliant or independent. And it's also very akin to leadership qualities. 19 on its own is also significant in numerology because it's referred to as a karmic debt number, okay? And with that, it's said to really highlight a misuse of power. So we're going to be seeing some different themes playing out here. I think this 19 number, while it can be very personal, right, in our own individual lives, we're seeing this play out more so kind of on the world stage. This total eclipse path is going to be going over Mexico and most of the US, right? So it's going over North America. And I think honestly a lot of when we're looking at just 19 and this karmic debt and this misuse of power, that it's highlighting things happening in these regions coming to light. So we're already seeing some of these things. If we've been paying attention to the news and different things that have been happening, we're seeing some of these things already playing out or unfolding, but it can be even more intense because total solar eclipses pack a punch. They really bring in swift, significant, fast, dramatic change. A lot of the times change that we're not ready for, or information or things come to light that we're like, whoa, like that just came out of nowhere, or the way something unfolds is just like in your face. There's just really no denying this energy. So what we can see play out in terms of this misuse of power, of things coming to the forefront, or the just like a rectification of that, can be very just quick, and we can just see things unfolding very quickly in over the next couple of weeks. So usually a solar eclipse, the timeline of like the dramatic change that comes in is usually between the time of the eclipse, I would say about from like that time to about 6 weeks, and it can stretch on to about 6 months. But again, it happens pretty quickly. Lunar eclipses, the changes are a little bit more drawn out. They take their time. They kind of come in a little bit slower, but not the solar eclipses and not the total ones. So I would say within a few weeks, we can be seeing a lot of different things coming up, not only in our personal lives, but on the world stage or in the media, and specifically around the region of North America, the US, and Mexico. So we shall see, right? So that's the numerology that I wanted to start off with. This new moon or this eclipse is conjunct Chiron, all right? Chiron is the wounded healer in astrology. It points to our deepest traumas, our deepest wounds that we're working to heal and move through, the things that just keeps us stuck and held back and just keeps coming up in different forms in our lives that is very uncomfortable. It's very painful. It's like it's the stuff that you don't want to deal with. It's the stuff that you rather stuff away and pretend like it doesn't exist and keep moving. But it's going to be very in your face for this particular new moon, for this particular eclipse. And the changes that come in are going to propel us forward because, again, we're being sent on a new journey, a new beginning. I will also say, if you have personal planets in the sign of Aries, okay, that are being directly touched by this new moon, then you are going to be in for even more revelation and changes, and you're going to be feeling it even more. It's going to impact you more. Personally, I have my moon in Aries, and this eclipse is conjunct my personal moon. So there is a lot happening there. So if you have personal planets in Aries, whether it be your sun, your Saturn, your Mercury, your moon, if it's conjunct your ascendant or square something in your chart or opposite, you're definitely going to see some major themes. Also pay attention to what Aries rules, what house it rules in your chart, okay? Because also those themes are going to be coming up, right? So you want to make sure you're looking at the house that this eclipse or this new moon is falling in, because it is going to be playing out those themes, and the wounds and the healing that's going to be coming in could be directly correlated, or likely correlated, I would say, with what is happening in that house, okay? So I just want you to pay attention. All right, so let's get into it. So like I said, it's going to be activating some major healing because it is conjunct Chiron, right? A new moon always marks new beginnings. Again, whether you are wanting to go on the new beginning or not, a solar eclipse is going to push you in that direction. That change is going to be front and center, and it's going to push you. So ready or not, here we come, right? Is pretty much the motto here. It can be a very dramatic time. Solar eclipses are dramatic. They're very dramatic because they're external, right? It's about more of an external force, whereas lunar eclipses are very internal, right? This is more external. This is the sun and the moon aligned together, focusing their energies, the outer and the inner together, focusing and concentrating on one particular area. So this new moon is like I don't know. It's like a new moon on steroids times 1,000. It's just heightened. New moons are usually a time where we, initiate new things, where we want to set our intentions for the things that we want to do or call into our lives. It's different things like that. But with this solar eclipse, you gotta be careful. I'm not saying that to fearmonger. I'm just saying we're also in a Mercury retrograde, where this is not really the time to push things forward. This is a time of review and reassessment and going inward and just reevaluating things. And I think that that's what this new moon or this solar eclipse is really asking us to do in a lot of ways. Yes, we're going to have new beginnings and we're going to be propelled forward, but the healing, the reviewing, the going within has to happen first. It has to happen first, or the thing is, it makes the ride more comfortable. You're going to be propelled forward anyway. Do you want to go forth kicking and screaming, unhealed, just dragging your ish with you and suffering along the way? Or do you want to actually face the music, do what you got to do, so that when you're being pushed forward, or you're actually, instead of being pushed forward, you're walking forward on your own, it feels good, you feel empowered, you feel, like you got this. And that's what we're being called to do here, all right? So this is a journey of self-discovery. This is about, the moon in Aries is about taking initiative, being independent, and going after what you want. The focus, what you want. And in order to do that, you have to have clarity. And in order to take advantage of where you want to go and the things that are coming in, you have to be in a place to receive. And to be in a place of receiving, you have to be healed. You have to have addressed the different things that have been holding you back, that have blocked you from receiving. And all of that's coming up to the forefront, and it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable. And like I said, it plays out in different areas of life for different people, because we all have different charts and it's all impacting us differently. It might be your family, it might be her career, it might be, his communication. Like, it all happens differently. But the emphasis is you, focusing on you, all right? So the past wounds and traumas are coming to the forefront. So people will be triggered. People will be feeling triggered around this time. You will be feeling triggered around this time, or likely. So I will say this, especially if you have personal planets being hit, whether they're being squared, oppositioned, conjunct, there's something that's some way, shape, or form is going to be impacting you in a deeper way. And so be easy with yourself and be easy with other people. If people are lashing out, people are, feeling some kind of way, doing some kind of things, give them grace. Give yourself grace through the process, because this is not necessarily an easy energy to deal with, but it's a necessary one. All right. Those things coming to the forefront, those deeper wounds, those deeper traumas, can make it an emotional time, but it is coming up to show you that these things that have happened to you, that you've been carrying, whether you've been ashamed about it or not, they shaped you. You wouldn't be you without those experiences. And sometimes we get into this victimhood or victim mentality where we think like, okay, things are happening to me, but a lot of times things are happening for you. And I think this is an opportunity to reshape the perspective, especially with Mercury in retrograde and some of the other, transits that are happening throughout the month of April. It's a chance to reframe that. It's a chance to gain a new perspective or a new outlook on it. Mercury is also going to be near this moon and near Chiron. And with Mercury there, it is asking us to see things, or it's showing us things in a new light. It's like what we once thought was debilitating, crippling, limiting, a setback for us, because, we're in this victimhood of like, oh, this happened to me and it made me this way, or it created this difficulty in my life. And now we're reframing that. We're seeing that as a source of strength, a source of like, oh my gosh, this happened for me. But now, because I have this experience, however painful or whatever it was, I'm able to now be like, this is what I've gained out of it. And we can also be in a space where we're ready to communicate more about that, the things that we've suppressed. We're ready to bring that up. We're ready to process it. We're ready to think about it. We're about to talk about it, write about it. It's coming up. It's not a source of shame anymore. Because of what you've been through and how you're able to process, it determines what happens next in terms of, again, you're being pushed forward, a new beginning. And the North Node is where all this moon alignment is. And the North Node is about the alignment of the path forward for you. And that's embracing who you are as an individual. That is walking in your true identity. That is being self-reliant and independent and not being a victim, and being courageous and happy to go on the journey forward, knowing all of what you've been through and all of what you carry forward with you as wisdom, right? So yeah, this new moon it's a lot, it's heavy, but it can be such a source of strength and joy going forward, depending on your perspective about it. During this new moon, Mars is also going to be conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And Mars and Saturn joining their energies together. Mars is that spark. Saturn is that, get to work, deal with it, tackle the hard things. This is giving us a boost to do the things that we got to do, to tackle the hard things. It really is what we need to get through the things that we need to get through, that we either have suppressed, we've lingered on, we've procrastinated on. It's great for the tackling unfinished business. The only thing is that in the process of all of these emotions and things coming up that can feel hard and heavy, that we can get into a space of frustration and anger. And I think the frustration and anger comes more from suppressing the emotions. So if you don't allow the emotions to be released and you suppress more and you fight this energy more, like I said, changes are going to come in whether you like them or not. So it's like, are you kicking and screaming along the way? Are you moving peacefully through it? The choice is yours. But the outcome also is determined by how you handle it. We don't have control of everything in life, right? Sometimes circumstances, events, a lot of things are out of our control, but we can control how we respond to things. We can control our perspective on things. And that's what it's calling you to really take into account. And to navigate this energy with a different mindset, especially with Mercury in retrograde, especially with Mercury conjunct this moon, Chiron in the place, and this Mars and Saturn conjunction. And like I said, Mars and Saturn are both in Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces does take on a softer tone. It speaks a lot more to our emotional boundaries and, erecting that. So I think that the emphasis on how we process our emotions, the things that we were ready to tackle and deal with, and just doing what needs to be done in regards to our own healing is important during this time. So that is a lot of what's going on. It's heavy. It's not an extensive amount of things, but this is the stuff that we're dealing with, right? So today, to do it a little differently, I know I usually recommend a ritual or something that you can do. I really don't want to do that for this video because I don't feel called to share that. What I do feel called to share is, number one, again, looking at where in your chart this is impacting in terms of your house. And if you don't know how to find your house placement or your personal planet placements, I'm going to link a video below that I want to say I did last year that shows you how to find that, and a link to a chart that you can put your information in and see where all of this is happening in for you. The second thing I feel called to do is I feel called to pull some cards, and I want to pull it from this Black Moon astrology card deck, which I love. I actually use this particular deck for pulling messages around all the new moons and full moons. I only use it for that. I don't use it for anything else. So I want to go ahead and pull a card just to provide, or whatever cards come out, just to provide some guidance. And I'm going to go ahead and shuffle. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, hopefully the noise is not too much, but let's go ahead and pull a card to give us some more insight. Oh, we got two cards that just came out. So we got, the first card is the Sun card, which is Spirit, and Cancer, I feel, which is what we just been talking about, right? Like our identity as Sun, moving forward, number one. There's the number one again, new beginnings, and independence, self-reliance, courageousness, leadership, One is all about that moving forward. And then I feel not stuffing down our feelings. So I would say look at, again, where the sun in Aries is falling in your chart. Look at your own sun in your chart. Is your sun in Cancer? Is your sun in Gemini? Is your sun in Scorpio? And how does that impact you? How do those qualities impact you? How does that transiting sun in Aries, whatever house it's falling in terms of for this new moon, how is that, adding to the story? This gives you a different layer. And the second card, Cancer, I feel. And Cancer gets a bad rap. This energy gets a bad rap because Cancers are said to be too much in their feelings, right? And feel too much and too deeply. But feeling is necessary for healing. If you can't feel, you can't heal. And yes, that Cancerian energy can be taken to an extreme and feel too much, to a detriment, right? You also have to have emotional regulation during the process. But if you don't allow the emotions or the things to come up, to feel them, to tap into that so that you can ultimately heal, how do you ever heal? Like, you're just going to suppress it. You're going to keep it locked down, and it's going to come out in some way, shape, or form. You think you have it under control. Like, I'm over it. I don't need to deal with that. You are suppressing that emotion consciously or subconsciously. You're not dealing with that trauma or whatever. It's going to come out in some form, usually in the form of disease. Next thing you know, you have kidney failure, you have liver failure, you have heart issues, because these things are stored in the body, and after a while, physically, they show themselves. They will take you out. That's why they say stress is the biggest killer. Stress is not something that you can see. Stress is something that is very energetic, right? And emotions are energetic. So I want you to be mindful of that there is no avoiding this work. You avoid this work, you pay the consequences. So look at Cancer in your chart. See what house Cancer rules in your chart. You might get some more insight on how to move through this energy in particular for you. But that is what I have. I really want to send you lots of love, big hugs, lots of grace through this eclipse season energy. I know for people with a lot of big cardinal energy, not just Aries, but cardinal, Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, and Aries, that, you guys have been feeling the stuff. And listen, I'm all cardinal energy. Like, my big three is all cardinal signs. So I'm right there with you. It is definitely a big transformative time for everyone in some way, shape, or form, but for us, more so. So give yourself love, give yourself grace, and allow yourself to deal with the things, but do the work, do the things that we're supposed to do. Saturn's here lending its energy, Mars is here lending its energy, Chiron is front and center for us to deal with these things, because there are new things waiting for us once we're able to release and change our mindset and our perspective on different things. We have to heal. So everything's coming up for a reason, and I'm so grateful. Like, even when it's hard, even when I cry and I break down, even, the vulnerability that it takes could feel just very like, oh my gosh, insurmountable at moments. But I am super, super grateful for everything, for it all. So I love you all. Take care. Have a good solar eclipse.